Welcome to the program. Glad to have you along today. Want to start on a somber note and a note of tribute and a note of condolences to the family and the friends of Jesse Pierce, the great Jesse Pierce, who, you know, when you hear the phrase "friend to everyone," it really means something when you talk about someone like Jesse Pierce, and Jesse specifically, who passed away over the weekend, along with her 3 children, which horrifies all of us. I never met Jesse face to face. We were going to at the World Juniors this year. As a matter of fact, I was going through some old texts after hearing the news yesterday. And just remembering how quickly, you know, once I texted her and said, hey, finally, we're going to get a chance to meet and I'm going to get a chance to see you and we can hang out. We're going to go to the World Juniors. Right away, she just went into organization mode and host mode. You know, you were in her state, she was taking care of you. And I know this is not exclusive to me because she treated everybody the exact same way. That's just who Jesse was. And you can see all the beautiful glowing tributes that are out there now, and they all have one common thread. And that is unconditional love and support that she had for everybody, not just in the hockey industry, but everybody and anybody, even remotely close to Jesse's orbit. Just a couple of things. As Zach and I were trying to get to the World Juniors in Minneapolis a couple of months ago, and I'm just going through her texts, yikes, wondering if our weather would be a holdup, but still way worse, huh? Sounds like a fun road trip. Oof, when's the 3rd flight expected to take off? Yeesh. Dog sleds, get here faster. Oh no, not another delay/cancellation. That is pure insanity. Why does the weather hate Minnesota is the best question. There's some airlines that are going to be renamed the Marek after all this, I'm sure. Lucky flight number 4, question mark? I guess it's not in the cards or air. And she finally writes, would have been spectacular. Next time, always lots of hockey and warm food. She was great. Read all the things that people are writing about her because they're all true. Condolences to the family and the friends of the great Jesse Pierce. Let's get to what's on the show here today. The Blueprint is powered by FanDuel. Download the app today and play your game at FanDuel. Coming up here in a couple of moments, Colby Cohen is going to stop by from, as I pull out my favorite new coffee mug, Morning Cup of Hockey. We're going to talk a lot about the AJ Greer suspension off the top. I spent a good chunk of yesterday, not just doing the U Sports finals, both women's and men's, but also trying to figure out comparables. You know, we all look for consistency in the DOPS, so I pulled out a few that I think are sort of relevant to the conversation. We'll get Colby's thoughts on that. We'll talk about Nikita Kucherov. We will talk about pillow fights, not actual pillow fights, metaphorical pillow fights as they relate to the Pacific Division. As pointed out by none other than Connor McDavid, we'll hopefully get to Cole Caulfield, or as we like to call him, Goal Caulfield, Mr. Saturday Night, because he saves up all his special goals for Saturday night and Hockey Night in Canada, and some listener questions coming up here later on in the hour. In the meantime, let's get right to one half of the Impact players, the power duo that is Morning Cup of Hockey. He is Colby Cohen, and he joins me now. Colby, how are you today? Are we going to get a cameo from the Pooch, by the way? It's always one of my favorite parts of the morning show.
I just had to shut the door to my office because there was a ruckus going on upstairs. Everybody's home today, so I figured I'd shut the door because I thought we might get a human visitor. But so now
I'll have that too.
He's got no access to the room today.
I love all of it. Listen, there's a ton to get to here. And you guys had a good whack at a lot of different piñatas this morning on Morning Cup. And as always, I encourage people to go back and listen to it if you weren't part of it live. But the AJ Greer suspension, the 3-gamer, first of all, we all know that there's a target right now on the DOPS and things are really hot. And this was going to be another measuring stick suspension, another sort of litmus test suspension. Fans are like, you know, peasants with pitchforks right now, torches at the castle gates, send out the monster. That's what everybody wants. what's the other metaphor? The volcano wants a virgin, give us a sacrifice here. We don't like these suspensions. And we can get into the why in a couple of seconds. But I thought, because you do a really good job of this, trying to find like some kind of logical consistency amongst things, not just in suspensions, but in hockey as well. And so I spent a good part of last night trying to find some comparables. And so I've put together a collage here, and I could only, Colby, come up with one that I can say is relevant for the AJ Greer 3-game suspension. Zach, we going to roll these one after the other, or do you want me to jump in between? How do you want to handle these? So, first of all, so this is from the playoffs, I think in 2021. This is Sam Bennett on Blake Coleman. That's a 1-game suspension for boarding. Now, that's the playoffs, so you say, okay, a 1-game suspension in the playoffs is a 2-game suspension in the regular season. Coleman coming down the boards. Sam Bennett just isolates him, sees him, and then starts charging across the ice. This is sort of standard fare for the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Florida Panthers. Anyhow, that results in a 1-game suspension. Hit from behind, into the glass, didn't cover the distance that we saw on the AJ Greer hit, but nonetheless. Here's Martin Pospisil on Vince Dunn as well. This one was a 3-game suspension, right? It's a hit from behind, close to the glass. Dunn goes in dangerously. That's a 3-gamer. Has the puck into the boards. That's the 3-gamer. So you say to yourself, it's still similar, but it's still kind of different. Here's Rempe on Heiskanen. This is charge. This is boarding. This is also elbowing. That one got an 8-game suspension, but when you look at the history and the elbow and the charge and the boarding, it all adds up to 8. So that's not even a direct comparable to what we saw with AJ Greer. But this is. So this is Erik Johnson and Vlad Namestnikov. Okay, we got to go all the way back to 2017 for that one. That's the one. And again, if I'm missing anyone watching or listening, they can find, that's a good whack too. And then there's the cross check into the boards. That's the only one that I can find, Colby, that is similar to what we saw. And that was a 2-game suspension.
Yeah, I mean, these are kind of brutal to watch. And I'll say this, like, the last one, you're right. It's the closest thing, but it's still, to me, not the same, and it's not as attempt to injure, in my opinion. And I usually err on the other side where people want more, and I usually think less. Or when these hits are coming up in the middle of the ice and everybody's yelling head contact or late, I'm always sort of the first to say, guys, we're watching it in slow motion. These things are happening in less than 1 second. A lot of times there's so many circumstances around these plays that we are not taking into account. Like, you're already committed to something, or you might have been quickly shoulder checking right before finishing your hit left, and the guy turns their back. Like, there's just a lot of factors that come into play. And it's where a lot of the hits now, Jeff, are just an unfortunate part of how fast this game is and how strong the players are. The one with Erik Johnson, why I don't like that, because he clearly is angry and two-hands him first before then a very, very dangerous cross-check to the back. Very, very dangerous cross-check to the back. And Erik Johnson is a very strong man on Namestnikov. It's still, in my opinion, it's part of the play. Like, the play is right there. And I know it's late. It's after he shoots it, right? But you're kind of committed to the guy. You're giving him a shot. The expectation for Erik Johnson there is not, I'm ending this guy's career. Like, that's just how I see that. Mm-hmm. When I watch the AJ Greer hit, that looks like a play that has nothing to do with the game of hockey. Like, I could make an argument for Erik Johnson there. Maybe not a great argument, but I can make an argument as a defenseman who spent a lot of his time chasing guys because I was caught up the ice. Okay? So it's like, but Jeff, the Greer hit is so far from a hockey play. It's an intent to injure play. And that's where this should have not have been less than 5 games. And what I've come to realize, and I'm not someone who yells and screams at George Parros from the mountaintops. I'm really not. Like, this isn't a hockey play. This is I want to hurt you. I want to injure you. And that is so dangerous to me. That is not a split-second decision. That is not after a shot. That is, I don't care where the puck is. I'm settling a score. And if you get paralyzed here, well, you know what? Not my problem. And that's how that play reads to me. And every time I've thought George Parros would put his sword into the ground and make an example out of a player in the last 24 months, he hasn't done that. And what I'm realizing is that he's not in the business of making an example. He's in the business of just making the decision him and his team feels is right. But I personally think they should have thrown the book at AJ Greer. That is not a hockey play. I'll argue for Eric Johnson, even though it's dirty, there's still hockey being played in that clip.
Further to your point, and this is what I was talking to Zach about this earlier on, but before we started. And this is why I brought up the idea that I'm trying to find comparables for this. We don't see that. Like what AJ, and first of all, when do we see someone pushing someone into the boards high? Normally it's low. It's around the hips. We see that. Normally it's low when you're sending someone into the boards. This is one where he catches Connor Zary high and he's pushing him high and pushing him down. But my point through all of it is, we don't see that play. The way that that AJ Greer went at Connor Zary, like that is we never see anything like that in the game. Now, the thing that I always point to with George Parros, I don't think that it matters that it's George Parros who's the head of the Department of Player Safety. You can take Ryan Getzlaf. You can take someone who's been there going back to the Colin Campbell days and Damien Echeverrieta. You can take Patrick Burke. You can take whomever you want from the entire department. Generally, they are making the same calls because that is the mandate. Like I'm trying to encourage people to take one more step in the argument, which is, okay, what's the reason that they're not giving out massive suspensions? And one of the reasons is Brendan Shanahan tried that. And what happened? He got pushed back from, remember when Brendan Shanahan was throwing double digits at everybody? We're correct. And a lot of it was repeat offenders. And so I get that. But you're right. Everybody freaked out. Managers freaked out. Players freaked out. Money out of our pockets. Managers are thinking, okay, it sucks when it's our bull that gets scored, but what if it's our guy? Like if you're the Pittsburgh Penguins and someone does something to Sidney Crosby and you scream bloody murder, what do you do when Malkin does what he did to Rasmus Dahlin? You look at a double, you want Malkin out of the lineup. I think in the back of managers' minds, they're thinking, okay, I got to stomp my feet here and say this isn't right, but I live terrified if that's my guy, and our standard is 15 games.
I think that's a very like level-headed way to look at it. And whenever again, I've actually gone on Morning Cuppa. You've heard me. I've defended George Parros. Like George Parros, he has been in every situation as a player. He's an extremely intelligent man. He went to Princeton. I mean, you don't go to Princeton, even as an athlete, without
accidentally,
insanely high-level academic abilities and scores. And I've had a beer with the guy before, and I talked to him, and we may not agree, but I'm always able to understand his point of view on these things when he explains them. And he's great about talking, off the record. He really is. And explaining things. Like, he's very gracious about it. And again, I can't remember a time in the last 2.5 years, Jeff, since we started doing our show, where I talked to him and I went, this guy's insane. He's lost. It's usually quite the opposite. He usually gives me things to think about that I wasn't otherwise thinking about. And then I can say, okay, maybe I don't agree, but I can find common ground. This might be the first time where I am looking at something and I am going, what the hell? Because again, that is not part of hockey. Hockey is so fast. It's such small decisions. We like to watch things in slow motion, which doesn't represent real life. I think Reamer said that on our show last week, or one of the guys that we've had on who's still playing recently said that last week. It's not real life. And but I don't know, Jeff, your thoughts, like what I'm saying, does that look anything remotely like a hockey play?
No, and that's why. And one of the things that I hate, there's two things that I really hate as far as infractions. One, slew foots, like that's my like, oh, that's the one that I really hate. And a close second is using the boards as a weapon. The boards is so unique to our game, unlike, other sports, and of course it's by necessity. But I just like the idea that we have a physical separation between real life and the sport, that there's something in between, and I hate the idea of using that thing as a weapon. Like, I go back to, and I guess Montreal would have been the two in the NHL were always Montreal and Quebec. They had the reputation of having the hardest boards. Like, those boards did not move. And when you went to the Forum and you went and played in the Colisée, it didn't show up in that game. But like 2 nights later, when you're in St. Louis, you're like, oh man, you know what it's like. I feel that hit right from a cup. And those were those boards. And I know it's different now, but I have a really bad taste in my mouth when I see the boards being used as a weapon, as they were in this situation. My whole point through all of it is the ability is there to turn the heat up on all of these suspensions, but George Peros can't do that on an island. And they just went through a round of CBA negotiations where all of that was discussed. I know that nobody in the PA, like, I know the players don't want to do the boring work, right? I get it. I know they don't want to do the boring meetings and have the boring discussions, but this just happened. And I believe Bettman referenced this last week at his press conference. They just went through a negotiation through all of this. So the heat can be turned up, but it's got to be a combination of the managers and the National Hockey League, and also the Players Association here too, because they're in a major conflict of interest situation representing both AJ Greer and Connor Zary.
Yeah.
I don't know how you get around that unless you want to introduce a third party. and as you well know, the PA and the NHL don't want a third party deciding who's going to be on the ice and who's not going to be on the ice. And that's why we're at the place we're at now.
You're gonna start having these long appeals. Every becomes an appeal. The process is gonna go from it will get uglier. I mean, you're never gonna make anybody happy when you're in these situations. And again, I can wrap my head around a lot of the ones that I don't agree with, but we just watched a bunch of those videos, and like even the Rempe one, you're right. The Rempe one felt like they were like, okay, we need to calm this guy down or he might hurt someone. Yeah. But like at the end of the day, like, the really smart players, Jeff, they use the boards actually to protect themselves. You learn at a young age. Like, I remember between Roger Nielsen's camps that I used to do every summer in Lindsay. Yeah. And I had such a great close personal relationship with Roger, and my dad and him were really, really close. And hopefully the two of those guys are hanging out now, upstairs. But Amen. It's like you learn him. And then the other guy who taught me that was another Toronto guy, but he was a Russian guy, Dr. Shmushkin, if you've ever heard of him.
Oh, is that at Chesswood? Was that at Chesswood Arena?
Chesswood Arena when I was a kid.
Oh, no way.
We'd work on checking techniques, and they show you at a young age that the boards can help you really absorb a lot of contact. That's why the really smart forwards turn their back, and there's that perfect distance that they get where you're not on the boards, but you're not off it either. It's this like hairline distance between you and the boards where you can sort of lean without exposing your face and exposing yourself, but then you can absorb contact from behind. And like Nikita Kucherov is, in my opinion, the best guy at that. And I remember John LeClaire back in the old days, watching him through the late 90s and the early 00s. He'd put his stick on the wall on the dasher. He'd put the puck in his feet, and he would tempt you to come and hit him, and he would like juggle the puck in his skates while using his stick as an anchor in the wall. So, there are ways where you can use the boards, Jeff, just in light of while you were talking about the boards being a weapon. The really smart guys, they never take those hits. How many times does Kucherov get hit from behind?
Never.
Exactly.
Never gets hit from behind.
There's a game, and it all goes back to your original point here with this Greer play, who none of these things apply to, which is why I would have, if you would have given Greer 10 games, I would not have batted an eyelash at 10 games for that play.
You mentioned Kucherov. I'll get off the AJ Greer story here now, and we'll transition to Kucherov. I had an interesting conversation with someone over the weekend about the Hart Trophy and Kucherov. Now he's on a roll now, which is just insane. What's the number? 99 points in 46 games. Like, good Lord, he's up to 118. He's just running away with this thing. And I'm new to hockey. Is that good? I had an interesting conversation with someone this weekend who said, I won't vote for him for Hart. And I said, why not? He said, here's the problem that I have with him. And it's not his fault, but it's just a reality. He had a 2.5 week break while everyone else was playing high level hockey and came back tired. He said he got a chance to refresh himself. What should that factor in? Judging by your facial expression, no. But dude got 2.5 weeks off. Listen,
I've heard stuff about I won't vote for him because he's Russian. there's all
sorts. Not that. No, it's the rest. It's the rest.
I've heard that too. I can tell you this. That is absurd and insane. To say that you're not going to vote for him, even though he's tearing up the league because he had a rest, not because he turned down an all-star game or he turned down an Olympics. His country is not playing in the Olympics.
That's what I'm saying. It's not his fault. Nothing to do with him.
That might be an insanely wild take in my opinion. That guy, I don't know how he won't win, to be honest. I guess the only argument to be made would be that if somehow Celebrini drags his team into the playoffs, that would be maybe the only argument, but it's not a strong enough argument to be Kucherov right now.
Not looking like it. No. Okay, let me do some quick hitters then here with you. So you're not going to pick up on the Kucherov thing. So McDavid calling the Pacific, and I want to get into McDavid and the coach. McDavid calling the Pacific a pillow fight. Now, I might just be a simple country lawyer, Colby Cohen, but the way I look at this thing here is, like, I look at the Pacific Division and I go, there's some excellent players here. Like, there are some elite players on a lot of teams in the Pacific. But to McDavid's point, yeah, it is a pillow fight. It's awful. It's a terrible division. And I keep looking at the one common denominator. They all have horrible goaltenders. Like, are we trying to talk ourselves into something that's not more complicated than they have bad goalies? Anaheim's pair under 900. Adin Hill, Akira Schmid under 900. Edmonton's story has been well talked about. Anton Forsberg's got the 902, but Darcy Kemper's rocking the 897. The team that can't score has got the 909 and the 901, and that's the Seattle Kraken. But do we look no further than this is a division that's goaltending themselves out of a decent conversation here or any kind of credibility, because every single team has killers on the forward unit, on the blue line. This is a division that has excellent hockey players, and it's all getting killed by bad goaltending. Like, this is like, all the cliches that you always hear about goaltending, Colby, like if you have a goaltender, it's 70% of your team. If you don't, it's 100. I always like the Harry Sinden line. Goaltending is like oxygen. I only think about it when I don't have it. Like, these teams don't have. Is it just that simple that this team just has bad goaltending and that's it, and that's the reason why they're in a pillow fight?
It is that simple, and Anaheim's leading the division with a negative goal differential of -7, which you rarely see in the National Hockey League. Maybe one wild card team gets in every year, Jeff, with a minus goal differential. Like, you can dig as deep as you want on advanced analytics, but I'll tell you, true as time is a green number in that column. Go ahead. Sorry. What were you?
No, you're right. No, I'm listening. This is good.
And Yeah, I mean, look, you're constantly playing from behind. And when you're playing from behind, your risk factor has to go up. You take that extra chance. You try that extra play at the offensive blue line. There's all sorts of psyche as a defenseman when you're down and you're thinking, all right, you know what? I'm going to try to cheat on this play and keep this puck alive because we still need two to get back into this game. And 1 out of every 3 or 4 times, the other team's got an odd man rush, and then the lead's not 3-1 anymore. Now you're at 4-1. And so goaltending is everything. None of those teams have had consistent goaltending. Vegas all year, to me, has just like, this has been one of the weaker Vegas years that I can remember in forever. I normally have so much faith in a Bruce Cassidy coach team come playoff time, even if they're not playing well. But if you're not getting saves, you have absolutely no chance. And that division, it's going to be interesting to see like what is going to change there this summer, because you know the division above them in the Central, like all 3 of those teams would be 10 points plus ahead in the Pacific Division. It's not even close.
You know, I'm glad you brought up Vegas, because I kind of look at, and he's not as good as Chris Pronger, but he's sort of this generation's version of him in some ways. Not as nasty as Pronger was, but the effect of losing Alex Pietrangelo. Like, you saw what happened to St. Louis and how quick they went into the dumper when Pietrangelo left to go to Vegas. And now you're seeing what life without Alex Pietrangelo is for the Vegas Golden Knights. I know they lost Nick Hague as well. They brought in Raz Anderson. And St. Louis sort of brought in a bunch of guys that all did a little tiny bit of what Pietrangelo did, but there's no replacing that player.
There's no true number one.
No.
True number one. You've got 1As in Theodore and in Rasmus Anderson, and St. Louis had some 1As, right? But there's nothing that replaces that true number one defenseman.
And between that and the injuries, specifically Mark Stone, like, to me, that's Vegas, along with the goaltending. Like, this is welcome to life without a legit number one defenseman.
Yeah.
Good luck doing anything in the playoffs here. You had an interesting conversation this morning about James Hagens, and I'm like you, and I'm like, you know, I think I'm like Johnny too. Like, what's the holdup? You know, It didn't take Cole Hudson this quick to sign with the Washington Capitals. What's the holdup on James Hagens here? And I thought you brought up an interesting point about, well, if I'm turning pro, what do I get? What am I getting if I'm turning pro? Right? Yeah. Am I going to AHL Providence? Am I playing with the big team? What's my position? Like, that's the conversation, right?
Yeah. I mean, look, I said it this morning, and I'll say it again here. You have so few times in your career that you have leverage as a player. And more we see young players who have not touched the league exercise their leverage. And it's worked out for a lot of them. I mean, Cutter Gauthier, he chose his ticket. And, I mean, this is a guy who's probably going to be a 50-goal scorer in the NHL at some point, Cutter Gauthier. So, you know, for Hagens, if he's going to leave early, and all signs point to him wanting to leave early, why would you settle for anything less than right into the National Hockey League? Like, but when you look at Don Sweeney's history and look at Charlie McAvoy, who went to Providence first, and then there was injuries and ends up in the NHL that year in the playoffs and then never looks back. You know, I just think Don Sweeney, and again, I'm just guessing here. I haven't spoken to I haven't spoken to Hagen's agent. I haven't spoken to anybody in Boston about this, but my spider senses would say there's a holdup in where this guy is going. And if I'm Hagen's agent, I am stubborn as all hell. I will not move an inch, because this isn't money driven, Jeff. He's the 7th overall pick. What he makes, it's already predetermined. He's getting max contract for a rookie. He's getting A and B bonuses. Yep. That is the easy part of this type of situation. But my guess would be the Bruins probably want him to go play in the American League. And he's probably sitting there going, no, I'm not going to the American League. I'm coming right to Boston, and I want to play in Boston and play 5 or 10 games the rest of the year. And you never know. At that point, Jeff, you play 5 or 10 games, you score 4 or 5 points, you look like you belong. Now when you go to training camp next year, Marco Sturm and Don Sweeney view you as an NHLer. You go to Providence, you have an okay run in Providence, maybe you even score. You're still James Hagens, the 7th overall pick. You're not James Hagen, the Boston Bruin, who just finished the season with the big team. So some people might say, well, is there really a difference? Yes, there is a major difference in the way that you're viewed. So that is my guess. I'd call it an educated guess based on what I've seen in the game of hockey. Otherwise, why is this like he currently lives 4 miles from the TD Garden at Boston College? Like what could be holding this up?
The thing about Hagens, though, let me push back a little on this, because let's say he does go to Providence. You know how the politics of a team works and how a player drafted 7th overall, even going into next season, if he doesn't play a game with the Bees this year, going into next season, he's still going to be that 7th overall pick that a lot of people stuck their neck out for and said, this is our guy. So it's not as if he's going to have the same opportunity, or in this case, lack of opportunity, that other AHLers might. Would it not be true that even if he does start at Providence and play the rest of the season at Providence next year, because he is their number 1 guy, and you know how, bubble wrap everything around the first round pick, and here's the on-ramp to get onto the highway here, does he still not get preferential treatment, whether he starts with the Bruins or not?
Of course he gets preferential treatment. No, I'm not saying he wouldn't. But what I'm saying is you go to the NHL first, okay? It's a cleaner path to never playing a game in the minors, right? And, the difference for these guys, right? Like, what happens if you go to the minors and you struggle? If you go to the NHL and you struggle, you're supposed to. You go to the American League and you struggle, people start to worry. And I'm not saying either will happen, but I believe if you put 5 to 10 games on your resume in the NHL and you look like you belong, it's the first thing that they've seen you do in their colors and their jersey for real. And it just gives you a little bit of extra juice. It gives the coaches a little bit of extra comfort. And maybe the plan is no matter what, he goes to Providence next year for 30 games. Who knows? Don Sweeney is as patient as it gets with his prospects. Maybe too patient, people could probably criticize him for over the years. So I do believe, Jeff, while you make a good point, there is a difference in starting those first chunk in the National League versus the American League. Because you go and you score a couple goals, you have a couple points, you will maybe never see the light of day in the American League.
Okay, I want to show you something here as we wrap things up here in a couple of moments. I want to show today is an anniversary of one play specifically. Joe Pascucci put this up on Twitter X today. March 23rd, 1996. In the International Hockey League, Detroit Vipers, Bill Armstrong from London, Ontario, scores with his signature high wrap. The next day in the NCAA playoffs on ESPN, the Wolverines' Mike Legg, who had learned the move from Armstrong at hockey camp, mimics his teacher, and the Michigan was born. Now, interesting note on this one. See the defenseman in front of Bill Armstrong, who's behind the net? That's the other Bill Armstrong, who's now the general manager of the Utah Mammoth. So it's Armstrong on Armstrong crime there. But here's my question for you. One, when did you learn, because every player's tried it, every player learns it. Once you get it, you kind of got it of how to scoop it up and do the wrap. Do you remember the time when you and all your buddies were obsessed with the lacrosse move, the high wrap, the Michigan, all of that? So because there was really we didn't have social media, and highlights were when they ran across the, ESPN Sports Center, for 3 minutes a day. So we didn't have the same access probably to all the highlights that you guys did. And the guy who made me aware of this, I was on the ice when I was 15 years old. I was in Syracuse, New York. And I was on the ice with Rob Shrimp, because Rob Shrimp is the godfather of Syracuse Stars hockey. And
was a trailblazer. You know, he was one of the OGs to actually try to do this. Like, I'm seeing that clip you just showed me for the first time. That was way before him, obviously.
At an OHL prospects game, I saw Shrimp do the move at the blue line, spin, and fire it on net. From Rob Shrimp, and my jaw was like, "Oh my god!" Now I saw Datsuk do that at Traverse City Camp too, but nonetheless, that was impressive during a game.
Shrimpy was the guy who opened my eyes to it at that age of 15 years old. Now, at that age, Jeff, I was playing with 110 Flex Easton Synergy, the yellow grip
crowbar stick.
Flex. I mean, because the 100 flexes were breaking so frequently that my dad was like, I'm getting you 110 next time. You're going to 110 because these are just breaking so easy. I mean, and we're talking original Synergy here. The silver one was no grip, and then the yellow and the gold one was the grip version of the Synergy. So that was when I saw it. I couldn't even come close to doing the Michigan. Now, I get on the ice now. I've got a nice 85 flex stick that I coach with. I can pick the puck up on my stick, but not even half as good as the players on my Titans team can, or even kids at the Pee Wee tryouts can, because I haven't done it. I don't have a million reps of practice with that. It wasn't part of how we didn't have skills coaches, teaching us that. I used to work with Sean Skinner, who was a stick handling coach when I was a kid. He used to go all around the world, Sean Skinner. Yep. We never once worked on that. Never worked on that move. So I came up in a different time where Rob Shrimp was really the only guy doing it with any consistency.
And he did it. I used to love watching London Knights warm-ups, just because he'd bust out like the craziest stuff like that. Like everybody, like if you're going to a London Knights, you got there early. You made sure you watch warm-ups so you could watch two players, Robbie Shrimp and Corey Perry, to watch those two guys goof around with the puck and goof around with the puck together. Now, I might just be like, shakes fist at clouds, old guy. But I find, and we just saw this again last week, I find the fake Michigan more impressive than the real Michigan, because that is a team, like that is a team goal as opposed to an individual goal. And it plays on the psychology of where defensemen are going and which way the goalie is looking and a fake and all of it. I find the fake Michigan to be way more impressive and harder to pull off than the real Michigan. Agree, disagree?
Yeah, no. I did you tweet one the other day? Was that your Twitter?
Every time I see a fake Michigan, I'm throwing it. I just love it.
It was it was in the Minnesota State High School Championship game or something, wasn't it? It was a big game, I think. Yep. Yeah,
I can't remember the specifics of it, but every time I see it, I always fire out the fake Michigans because I'm dying to see it in the NHL. Like we've seen Michigan in the NHL. I want to see someone pull off the fake Michigan.
Yeah, for sure. No, I saw that when you tweeted that, and I went, "Whoa, that was sick!" Like I think I got more enjoyment out of that one than I think I do in the Michigan one, just because you're right, it was different. So, can I plug one thing before I go here, Jeff?
100%. Floor is yours.
So, Johnny and I are going to do the Morning Cup of Hockey NCAA Bracket Challenge again. Obviously, the NCAA tournament starts on Thursday of this week.
I was awful at this last year. I was terrible at this last year, Colby. I was awful.
But
I'll do it again this year.
Created a bracket. If you go to my Twitter, which is Colby Cohen 36, I just retweeted it. So it's right at the top. It should be the top tweet on my page. And we have like the link to sign up, the league name. It's free. And if you win, you get $100. So you enter for free. Winner gets $100. So far, we launched it this morning. We have 296 people from Morning Cup of Hockey and social media that have created brackets. So Jeff, you did it last year. So there's probably an email in your inbox like reminding you to get back into it. Okay.
There is. And I just retweeted it. So your 296 will be about 297 by the end. By the end of the day.
Join us. join us in our bracket challenge. It's something fun we'll talk about over the next couple of weeks, especially now with the Canadian fans that are big CHL fans. Some of their guys are going to be competing in this now between, McKenna and Jackson Smith. I mean, there's Martone. There's a ton of them and some really impactful guys. I think, by the way, Martone, he's going to be the breakout superstar of the NCAA tournament this year. That would be my guess. It's not going to be Gavin McKenna's tournament. It's going to be Martone's tournament. That is my guess.
How close is he to turning pro, by the way?
Oh, I got to think the day his team loses, he's playing impactful minutes for the Philadelphia Flyers.
For the Flyers right away?
The more I watch him down the stretch, and as I prepared for the NCAA selection show last night, he got a lot better this year, and he was already really good. He is going to be a star. He is the guy the Flyers fan base has been clamoring for. He's going to make people are hot and bothered about everything Matvei Michkov, and Michkov is obviously a talented player who's playing better right now. Wait till you see Martone in Flyers colors. It's even a level above what Michkov is because his game is so suited for Broad Street. He's got every old school trait a Flyers fan would love with all of the new age abilities.
But here's the thing about, and they kicked it off with Porter Martone, but also you got to go to Jack Nesbitt, who they also took in the first round. The Flyers did last year. The Philadelphia Flyers mandate was kind of everything that Michkov isn't. They just went size. I think the smallest player they took was 6'2". This was the old Bobby Clark Philadelphia Flyers, where the blue line is he's either 6'5" or 6'6". That was the way the Flyers went into that draft last year. We are grabbing size. All right, great stuff. As always, back to your family, back to your hockey, and back to Morning Cuppa tomorrow. We'll talk soon.
All right. Thanks, Jeff.
There is the great Colby Cohen stopping by the program. I retweeted his bracket challenge as well, so give that one an eyeball.
It's in the chat there, too, for everybody.
Oh, is it in the chat? Great. Perfect.
Yeah, put it in the chat, put it in the description for the show, whether you're on podcast or if you're on YouTube, and we retweeted it from the sheet, whatever it's called, Twitter, X, whatever you prefer. It's on there for us as well.
The name it was assigned at birth was Twitter, so that's what I understand you have to stick to, whatever you're assigned at birth. So we're just going to keep calling it Twitter, right? That's the way society works. It's what you're assigned at birth, right? You can't change. That the way it works?
Well, it's just ingrained in my head that's what it is. Even in my head, it's tweets, not posts. So yeah. I got something for you here. It happened while you guys were on air. There's no real significance.
It's also still Sky.
Yeah, even sometimes I get caught up in that one, and I was never really a part of Sky Dome growing up. But my parents refer to it as that. My grandparents refer to it as that. So then it just kind of naturally gets caught up in my vocab of the Sky Dome. And I'm like, well, no, it's Rogers Center. But Jeff, while you guys were on there, just monitoring this, Ryan Rishaug tweeted, not good news for Oilers fans. McDavid left practice partway through and is in with trainers. Didn't look like he was injured, but will follow up with Knoblaw after the skate. So that was a tweet from Ryan Rishaug. No updates since, but just letting you know.
Just piling it on. Leon Draisaitl. See about Connor McDavid. What did you make of his comments? Kind of, well, not just praising the Tampa Bay Lightning, but in essence talking about how the Tampa Bay Lightning, I saw some, I really sensed some real envy in his comments, talking about all the things that Tampa are, and by extension, all the things that the Oilers aren't. I think it's easy to look at what he said and say, yeah, that's a frustrated hockey player. But the way that he said it and the fact that he brought it up in front of media, the way that he did, and even went out of his way to praise John Cooper too, I can't help but hear some envy in there as well.
Well, you tell me if I'm off base on this, but my kind of baseline interpretation of what happened is, or the frustrations are, in part what's happening with their season And in part, the two teams that I kind of put, they're different in many ways, but put on a similar level in terms of how they operate, in terms of their mentality on the ice, the pack, all of that kind of stuff is Tampa and Florida. And he's now just had to run up against the Florida Panthers in back-to-back Stanley Cups, in which they've been bullied and kind of disassembled.
The Florida game was brutal. Like, that was of those two games. If I'm Edmonton, like, I am so pissed about that Florida game. Just livid.
So now you've just had the Florida and the Tampa situations where those comments come out after, and it's like, I've now dealt with this that has kept me back from my goal. I can't get over that hump. We just got bullied by the Panthers again. And now we're watching like Tampa
and you got Matthew Tkachuk running down their players at the Olympics and like doesn't stop.
Calling them out, making fun of them. Like they're superstar players. Yeah. And I think it was Gregor who said, at some point you kind of got to do something here. You're getting just embarrassed by Matthew Tkachuk at every turn, whether it's on the ice or off. You're kind of just sitting on your hands. I kind of feel like there's probably a level of frustration from McDavid where he's looking across being like, why can't we be like that? Right? Where we're just getting held back. I don't know if that's too surface level or too basic of my approach of it, but I felt like that was part of the frustration of like, why can't we be that way?
Yeah,
that's the thing that's stopping me. I want to be like that.
I think there was some envy there. And listen, I don't think it was lost on anybody when he talked about the goaltending.
Well, yeah.
I mean, ain't no way around it.
Yeah.
Look, I still maintain that if Connor McDavid's goal, because look around the NHL of teams that can absorb McDavid and that contract, and I know, and I know that teams would move heaven on earth to get someone like Connor McDavid, but like of all the teams that could take him right now, how many are good? Like his best chance to win the cup is still with the Edmonton Oilers. I know it's easy to say, "Oh, he's going to punt. Like, forget, I can't win this." Leon Draisaitl is there, Evan Bouchard is there. Like, there's still work to be done on this team, obviously. But show me the team. Show me the team that can take McDavid, take that contract, and is better than the opportunity he has right now. I'll hang up and listen.
Yeah, it's a very good point. Like, where is he going to go? Like,
where?
Make the jump with the LA Kings?
Okay.
That's no disrespect to LA. That's just,
so hang on.
I'm just looking at the goaltending, the defense.
What's the lesson of Wayne Gretzky? When he left, he got close once.
Right.
He got close once. 1993. They lost to the Montreal Canadiens. He left.
They still can't find the puck.
Oh, yeah. It's Daryl Sador fires it up in the forum. But, like, he got close once.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, like, this Oilers team still has the foundation of being really, really good. And if I'm McDavid and I'm looking around, like, okay, so where can I go that is either good or close to being really good that can take me right now and won't completely devalue their franchise if they do trade for me? Like, you think, oh, he's going to go to the Rangers. How good are the Rangers?
Yeah.
Oh, he's going to go to LA. How good is LA? His best shot at winning the Stanley Cup is still Edmonton. It's still Edmonton.
Yeah.
I get the frustration, but like, where else are you going to go? Who's taking him? And
I guess at this point, is he just sitting there?
The thing is, like, if you do make the trade for him, you're going to have to give up a ton to get him in the first place. So you're taking steps back to bring him in. You're already there. I know it hasn't been a great year. I get it. I know the goalie's been hard to hit, all of them. But his best chance to win the cup is still there, no? Am I missing something?
Well, it's pointed out in the chat here. He could go full heel and go to one of the teams that they they just
Florida
ran
Tampa.
into Florida and Tampa. That seems to be pretty common, being thrown out there.
Next
in the
contract,
chat right
$8 million.
I just started reading that. Yeah, you thought this was a discount.
I'll show you discount.
No, yeah, I know. In all seriousness, yeah, it's a very good point. I don't know. I guess the grass isn't always greener is probably a pretty applicable saying.
The
for
lesson of Wayne Gretzky. The lesson of Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah.
He got close once. We all thought, oh, wow, all these cups for the Kings. Look at him. Once he got there.
But he's smart enough. My counterpoint to it would be he's smart enough to recognize the position that the team is in and know that there is a step backwards that has taken place. And I just wonder if frustration is setting in of wondering how they're going to take steps to catch or be on par with the likes of Dallas, Colorado, Minnesota, who are upgrading certain areas of their team that the Edmonton Oilers just haven't been able to do.
There's work to do. There's work to be done. Absolutely. A really simple answer is more smart people with laptops. I'm serious. More smart people with laptops.
I know. I don't
look
disagree.
at all the successful teams. What do they all have in common? Elite analytics departments. Elite. Tampa, Florida, Carolina. Go right down the list. What do they all have in common here? No more doing it on feel. Eyeballs. All have
but you need you need people though who can intelligently combine the two, and I think that's what those teams have checked boxes on very well.
Yeah.
Carolina,
Okay. Let me give you an example.
Florida, Tampa.
Florida Panthers are the most recent one, and that's why I think like Sonny Man is going to be a general manager someday, and probably should in the tradition of Eric Tulsky. You know, they want to be tough, sure, but you also need guys to play. You know, so you say to your group, okay, we need to get tougher, but we can't be stupid. And I know I'm saying this as AJ Greer just got dinged for 3 games, but like all of a sudden,
no kidding,
all of a sudden, what do you come up with? Jonah Gadjevich.
Yeah,
He's been sitting there for everybody.
Yeah. No, but that's what I'm saying. I agree with you. I just think that both of those teams have elite people who can identify both, but also have the feel or identify the analytics and the underlying analytics that are going to make a player and therefore their team successful. But they're also people who, this is from at least my interpretation of it, and I think based on what the product is that we see on the ice, they're also people who are smart enough to recognize what it takes beyond just numbers on paper to make a hockey team win. Because I don't think you can just win with sitting in your room and putting together a hockey team via your spreadsheet. And I say that
no, but do it this
jokingly
no
as the
again.
spreadsheet, but you need the people who can bring other areas to the game, and they recognize that.
How many times have you heard Brian Burke say this? The way that Burke always says that he does it is, I identify with my eyeballs, and then I check with the analytics department in case my eyes are lying to me.
Yep, that's fair.
Yep.
Yep.
He said, and then I think his follow-up was, and then I talk to the family. And this is mainly like talking, but by extension, talk to people around him. Because I think that's more of like talking about prospects and kids. But like, it's simple and sane. Identify with your eyeballs and then check with your analytics department because your eyes lie to you. To everybody.
Yeah. And if they tell you you're wrong, you tell them they're idiots. And you go back to the drawing board.
Go back to your computer, Poindexter. Push your glasses up, Poindexter. Let's get in a quick email here before we get to your shine spot. The sheet at thenationnetwork.com is a way to get in. The sheet line is speakpipe.com/the sheet. What do we have here today? I think we have one about escrow, which is interesting.
Yes, we do. So this one comes in from Chuck. Hi, Jeff. I was wondering if you could provide me some clarification on how the salary cap works when teams don't spend to the cap. With the rising hockey-related revenue and the concern that some teams may not spend to the cap, won't the additional funds be distributed back to the players as an additional payment the reverse of the escrow they have experienced in the past. I really appreciate your love and coverage of all levels of hockey, from Chuck Allison.
Okay, so interesting. What happens is it just goes away. Like you don't spend you don't get that back. You can't accumulate it and put it on your cap next year. Like, oh, we spent $5 million shy of the salary cap this year, so we get to go $5 million over next year. We all know that's not the way that it works. A lot of it has to do now with, of course, 50% linkage that players have, which is the reason why we'll never get a shorter season. Because as long as salary is linked to HRR, there's no way that the players are going to greenlight shrinking games or removing games. So that just goes away, and it's actually beneficial for, in a lot of ways, the players that at the end of the season, when the 50-50 split is accumulated, it becomes more advantage player, because we've seen situations before. Flat salary cap acts as a magnet. All of a sudden, the 50% is not 50%. It's over in favor of the players, and that's where escrow comes in, and they have to pay back. What I've always wondered about, and I've always had this shot down, this is going back to like 04-05, when the salary cap was first introduced. If you have, the Detroit Red Wings, and you have $10 million sitting on your cap at trade deadline, could you treat that essentially as cap cash and trade it? It's all captured in the system. Ooh. And it's all related. You can't go over the 50-50. Players have escrow to make sure they give back. So if you're a team that has $10 million sitting there, if the whole thing is still just captured anyhow, financially, all the money is still staying in the system. Keep in mind, we're not talking about outside money here. This is all money in the system. Should you be able to use it as cap cash? I'll give you $10 million of cap space for a second-round pick. Always been shot down.
I like this a lot. I like this a lot.
Like that one?
Oh my God! You know how we talked about the week before the trade deadline, when the Juracek situation was kind of unfolding there in Minnesota, where they had picked up somebody else in the AHL, and you said to me, and then you said on the show, it sets up something else.
Yep.
Imagine like 2 nights before the deadline, the Colorado Avalanche, they acquire $7 million in cap space from the San Jose Sharks, and all of a sudden we're all looking there going, oh shit, what is coming? Now you're working through it. You don't have to worry about the constraints of the salary cap the same way. You have to find the teams to do it, but you pick up $1 million off that team, you pick up $1 million off that team, pick up $2 million over there. Now all of a sudden you got a $4 million pool. I like this.
All the money stays in the system.
I'm in.
All the money stays in the system. It's all accounted for at the end of the day. Now, it does mean that that all the potential cap space in the NHL does get spent, or most of it does get spent. But again, the system accounts for all of it.
Yeah. I like this. I also think that it promotes activity at the trade deadline, because you might be more inclined to go out and pick up said depth guy whose contract expires at the end of the year, who's $3 million, $4 million, and he's probably, potentially, let's say, overpaid. You just say, we'll deal with the extra $1.5 million overage, because we'll just go out and pick it up somewhere else. I don't got to worry about fitting this in. I like this.
I don't know. I've always had pushback from the NHL on that one. Like, not going to happen, never going to happen. We're not going to do it. And I've always said, like, it's still in the system. No one's going outside the system for this one at all.
Yep.
Anyhow, I lob that out at you for a something to discuss here on a Monday in advance of all the games we can watch tonight around the NHL. All right, let's get to you, Zach. Oh, hang on a second here. We are going now to the shine spot for our man, Zach Phillips. The Sheet is powered by FanDuel. Play your game with FanDuel. It's the NHL season, and FanDuel is your home for all the action on the ice. From Blue Line to Bet Slip, we've got you covered all season with unique promos, live offerings, and more features to let you play your game. Missed puck drop? No sweat. With a live same-game parlay, you can build your bets up until the final buzzer. Download FanDuel Sportsbook today and play your game. Please play responsibly, 18 plus, and physically located in Ontario. If you have questions or concerns about your gambling or the gambling of someone close to you, please contact Connects Ontario, 1-866-531-2600 to speak to an advisor free of charge. Time now for Story Time with Uncle Philly.
No, this one's today actually is a little bit quicker, Jeff. You told me this joke, so I want to relay it to people, because I thought it was a really good one. What's a kind of cool vegetable?
Radish.
I told that to my cousins. They loved that one.
It's what's a vegetable that's cool but like really not too cool? Radish.
I had to come up with something, man. I had one game on the board. What's I gonna
do? It's kind of cooly vegetable, radish. My cousins love that one. Will Cooley, Taylor Radish, Dylan Cousins. $5 wins you a cool $546.79. That's cool, but not too cool. It's radish.
Yeah, it's a radish.
You got to hang on.
That one worked out pretty well
at the end.
Yeah,
that's really puts that one over. Yeah. Okay, well done. Take the rest of the week off for that one. Bravo, Zach. Bravo. A couple of congratulations as well. U Sports champions as crowned yesterday. On the men's side, congratulations, UQTR. Beating St. Mary's, and congratulations to Montreal, who defeated the favored Concordia Stingers. Montreal on the women's side, an 8th seed, and they beat the 1st seed, 2nd seed, and 4th seed in the process. But anyone that watched Montreal play knows that they really didn't feel or play like an 8th seed. So congratulations. It is a sweep. Canadian U Sports. Congratulations to the province of Quebec. Well done. Thanks to Colby Cohen for stopping by the program today. We are back on the air tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern, where Greg Wyshynski returns from ESPN and ESPN.com. Once again, our thoughts and condolences are with the Pierce family. With the passing of Jessie and her 3 children, the GoFundMe is up. I believe we have that one pinned as well for her husband. If you can contribute in any way, shape, or form, please do so. Jessie, you are the best. We're all thinking of you and your family. Talk to you tomorrow. Jeff Marek along with you. Hope you enjoyed the program today. If you did, or maybe even if you didn't, they can't all be gems, folks. Please hit the subscribe button. Also a reminder, every morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, Johnny Lazarus, Colby Cohen, I call them the Impact Players. You might know them as a tandem that makes up the Morning Cup of Hockey. Also DFO Live at noon Eastern. This year, your host Tyler Yaremchuk alongside Carter Hutton. Full day's worth of programming right here on Daily Face-Off, your favorite YouTube hockey channel. And as a reminder as well, Zach Phillips, our producer here for The Sheet, said if you subscribe, he'll buy you a puppy. It's true.